All right, everyone, welcome to today's strength class. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Again, I put the equipment in the chat, so if you got a chance to take a look, you just need a light to moderate pair of dumbbells. And if you have a Swiss ball or a bench, one of those is fine, or you could just use your regular mat. Here is our waiver. So if you are interested in the Balance Amigo, again, that's going out all this September. So hopefully you're able to get some access here, and hopefully you are able to participate in this program. You're eligible to win some prizes as well. If you want a little bit more information, you can add yourself to the program Global QFit Slack thread, where all the information will be shared. Next, we have the TechTri Sprint. So if you remember earlier in the year, we had that really awesome TechTri. Here's our TechTri Sprint version. Again, going on from September 8th through the 22nd. Complete as many sprint triathlons or duathlons as you can in those 15 days. Bike, swim, or run. So hopefully, again, you are participating, getting some value from this program. Again, feel free to add yourself to that Slack thread, Program US Fitness Centers. And then lastly, we have the cooking demos that Shannon and Jenny do. So please feel free to check out those webinars, and hopefully you all get some inspiration to cook and prepare some really awesome healthy meals, colorful plates. That way you can share with yourself and your families or your partners. All right, friends, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. And then we can start moving. All right, I'll go ahead and spotlight myself. All right, great. Let's go ahead and start moving. All right, let's go ahead and warm up our low back here. Actually, we're going to do some little lunges here. We're going to predominantly do some upper body, but I want to kind of get some blood flow to our midsection. So let's go ahead and have our feet directly underneath our hips. Let's take a nice lunge to the lateral side, and then we will repeat on the other side. Again, just make sure you have a pretty good amount of space. That way you're able to get a pretty good amount of lunging in. And a big lunge. Again, your fingers can make contact with the ground if you want, or if you have some mobility issues, just try and get as much depth as you can. If you want to add in some forward lunges as well, again, you could add in some forward lunges too, or you could add in some reverse ones. All right, feel free to kind of keep going on that. Once you finish, go ahead and get some blood flow to our low back. So have your feet directly underneath your hips. Take your hands, cross them across your shoulders. And then we're going to go ahead and bend here. Again, push your hips back. Have your shins nice and vertical. And you should feel a nice stretch here in your hamstrings and or your low back. Predominantly your hamstrings though. And then once you finish that, let's go ahead and kind of reach down and try and touch our shoelaces or our shin. You grab our shins, move your hips side to side, or try and touch our toes or even the floor underneath us. That way we kind of stretch our low back. Again, you can also make this nice and dynamic as well. And just really focusing on the rounding of our shoulders and the rounding of our back. That way we get some blood flow to our low back and just relieve some pressure, especially as we've been sitting down. Again, you can move your hips side to side as well. And you can even reach down and again, try and touch the ground or your toes. All right, let's go and have our hand just somewhere around our vicinity of our belly button, and we'll just go and do some torso rotations. Okay, getting some more blood flow to our low back and mid back. If your back feels pretty good, you can go and do some shoulder circles. Shoulder circles forward, shoulder circles backwards. Again, you could even throw in some just arm swings up and down, as we will be doing some pressing in both the vertical plane and the horizontal plane. Again, feel free to mix up some more arm circles as well. Arm circles backwards. We'll take one hand, put it across our shoulders or across our body, take the other hand, put it behind our tricep. And then we're going to go ahead. You can even rotate towards the side that's being stretched. Just take your hands to the back of your hand and kind of push your elbow. And then once you finish, repeat on the other side. All right, you can go ahead and keep stretching if you want to. We have 5 different movements, big giant set. We have a single arm dumbbell press, a single arm dumbbell row, a Swiss ball fly, a reverse fly, and then a glute bridge hold. Very first exercise, you're gonna take your dumbbell, put it in the front rack position. Make sure your feet is just have a pretty solid foundation. So your feet just slightly outside your hips if you want to. We'll take the dumbbell, put it right here in the front rack. Take your opposite hand, put it to the side. We're just gonna go ahead and press until we lock at our elbows or our elbow, and then bring it back down to our shoulder for your single arm dumbbell press. You can start whatever arm works for you. Again, anywhere between 10 to 15 repetitions. That is totally fine. If you have a heavier dumbbell, you can do as max to 8. Totally up to you. Again, you know your fitness better than I do. You know your goals better than I do. So pick a rep range that is suitable for you. Once we finish, we'll go into the single arm dumbbell row, where if you have an object, you can grab an object if you want to. But for now, we'll just go freestanding. Again, just lock out your elbow, take the dumbbell, bring it back towards your back, and just focus on having a good nice neutral spine. And then I'll coach you through the other 3 movements, all right? So whenever you're ready, go ahead and grab your dumbbell, put it in the very front rack position, and you get to choose however many repetitions you want to do. Again, anywhere between 10 to 15 is fine. But if you have a heavier dumbbell, you can go as max as 8. Again, here, try not to use your knees either, or try not to use your legs. Just really focusing here on just extending your elbow and getting a full lockout or getting full range of motion. Again, you can start on whatever arm works for you. Usually, we like to start on non-dominant hand or non-dominant leg, because your dominant hand or dominant leg can usually recover faster. Nice job. Again, that's your first exercise, anywhere between 8 to 15 repetitions, depending on the load of the dumbbell that you have. Once you finish that exercise, let's go into the single arm dumbbell row, a nice easy transition. Again, feet directly underneath your hips. We're gonna go ahead and bend down until our shoulders are nice and parallel to the floor. And then you can have your hand just kind of by out your thigh if you want to, or you can have it on your hip or to the side or even across your belly button. Whatever works for you. Again, try to keep those shoulders just nice and parallel to the floor. That way you get a really good stretch of your lats. And again, just kind of pretending like we're starting a lawnmower or we're pulling something. You start. Once you finish that side, go ahead and go to the next one. Again, same thing, a nice big pull. As the dumbbell starts going away from you, again, just really focus on locking out your elbow. Again, getting good range of motion. Again, training anywhere between the 8 to 15 rep range, depending on the load of the dumbbell. All right, so we finished the single arm dumbbell press. We got the dumbbell row. Now I'm going to use my Swiss ball here. If you don't have a Swiss ball, that's okay. You can go ahead and use a bench. If you don't have a bench either, you could just go on your mat and you'll have less range of motion, but you'll still be able to perform the fly. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and sit on my ball. I'm going to go and have like about my low back to my mid back covered. With the Swiss ball, my feet are nice and flat on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and go into neutral and just kind of look up here at the sky, or the dumbbells in front of me. Dumbbells start here in the very front position. We're going to go ahead, take the dumbbells away from us into abduction. And then this will be our chest fly. Again, if you're on the ground, just go. You can extend your legs if you want to, or you can be in kind of this bridge position. And obviously, if you have your bench, you're just shoulders and back is fully on the bench. Again, just really focusing on getting a nice big stretch. Elbows they can be slightly flexed, but mostly locked out. And then once you finish, you're going ahead and rest. I really like Swiss ball just because it adds a little bit of a core and midline dynamic to it, and a little bit of instability. So you're kind of indirectly training your abs or your midline. It also feels really good on your lower back too. So feel free to add that in whenever you're exercising on your own or with your friends. Next one, we have a reverse fly. So we're going to go ahead and target our upper back / mid back. So again, feet directly underneath your hips. Dumbbells will start right in front of you, like we're going to do a row. But then we're going to go again back into abduction and then take the dumbbells away from us. And you should feel a nice contraction here in your upper back and even maybe in your rear delts or the back of your shoulders. Again, just try to focus on really squeezing the shoulder blades back together as if someone has their fingers kind of in between your shoulder blades and you're trying to pinch those fingers or pinch those hands together, or sorry, those shoulder blades together. So we got 4 different movements. We got the press, the row, the Swiss ball fly, the reverse fly, and then lastly, we have just a nice isometric contraction where we're going to do a glute bridge hold. That could be either body weight or that can be with a dumbbell or a pair of dumbbells. Totally up to you. So if you have your mat, go on your mat. Go on and have your heels closer to your glutes, hands by your sides. We're going to squeeze and really focus on creating a nice straight path or straight line from your knees all the way to your hips. Again, we're just really focusing here on squeezing our quads, hamstrings, and our glutes. And just kind of hanging out and just really focusing on holding a max contraction for around 30 seconds. Already feel my muscles really firing. Again, just squeezing your glutes. Targeting what's called that like brain mind muscle connection. Then rest. Again, you can hold for as long as you want. You want to hold for a minute, go for it. It's your fitness. If you want to hold for 30 seconds, that's totally fine too. We got a nice little break here. Feel free to grab a sip of water if you want to. We'll repeat one more interval and that'll be it. All right, friend, as soon as you're ready, we're going to go back up to the top and repeat one last time. Starting with the single arm dumbbell press. Again, if you have some heavier dumbbells around you and you feel like you could, go 8 reps, go for it. If you have some lighter dumbbells and you want to go a little bit more repetitions, feel free to do that as well. Again, just a nice solid foundation here, feet directly or slightly outside your hips, hand by your side. And again, just trying to lock out their elbow. Also, really point of performance here is, again, getting full range of motion, but when you're pressing, you're not pressing in front of you because this is actually not a very good movement pattern. What we're looking for here is earlobe somewhere around our bicep or a little bit forward from our bicep. That is getting full range of motion here. So just be mindful of how you're pressing. Maybe if you have access to a mirror, you're able to give yourself some feedback. So you could look at yourself in the mirror or in the periphery. You're kind of looking at the mirror, so that way you're able to kind of look how you're moving. I personally don't like mirrors, but because I do CrossFit, but for anyone that's looking for just movement quality, you're free to look at yourself and give yourself some feedback on how it looks. All right, that is your single arm dumbbell press. A really interesting fact about mirrors too, there's a lot of research like bodybuilding and people that like muscles and aesthetics, is there's actually a pretty positive correlation between muscle growth and looking at yourself in the mirror. So if that helps you and you think looking at yourself in the mirror can potentially make you have a better pump or make you more motivated to look a certain way, there is some benefits to that feedback based on some research. Second exercise, single arm dumbbell row, feet directly underneath your hips. Again, same thing, go ahead and lock out your elbow. Have your hand just nice and rested on whatever side, or sorry, on your thigh or kind of around your belly button if you want. You can even put it on your low back, just to kind of give you maybe some extra support. Number of different ways to do this. Pretty simple bent over row. Most important part is just having your shoulders directly or parallel to the floor. Again, if you're kind of rowing right here, you're not getting a very good angle of your lat. So we're just really focusing here on getting that bent position. And again, really focusing on a nice solid contraction and a really big lengthening of our lats. Because that's where we lengthen our muscles during the eccentric contraction of the phase of the muscular contraction. All right, we got 3 more movements. We have that Swiss ball fly or bench or on the ground, totally up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and go use my Swiss ball because it feels good on your back. Again, heels and toes fully flat on the floor or on the ground. Dumbbells start right above you, and then go and take those dumbbells away from you. Again, if you're doing this on the ground, just make sure that you have a lot of space or a lot of room to really focus on trying to get your arms fully extended to the side of you. Again, you don't have the full range of motion here. As you can see, I can kind of go back behind me, which really creates a nice big stretch. Obviously, if you're on the ground, you can't really do that because you have limited range of motion. But nonetheless, it's still a dumbbell fly. So you're still able to get a good stretch or some good movement for our muscle fibers. All right, so we got two last exercises. That'll be your dumbbell reverse fly, and then one last glute bridge hold. You can hold for as long as you want. Try and hold at least 30 seconds though. All right, same setup like a bench over row. All we're doing now is just taking those dumbbells and we're going into abduction. Again, training anywhere between the 8 to 15 rep range, depending on your goals or depending on the load of your dumbbells. Cool thing about this is you can also have like your thumbs up, or you can go into like more of a neutral position, which will target a different part of your traps, a different part of your upper back. It's a really interesting how just kind of changing your wrist and your grip will really modify different angles of your muscle fibers and different angles of your muscles. All right, friends, one last movement. That'll be your glute bridge hold. You want to go and do a hamstring hold, you can totally do that too. Just make sure that your heels are more away from you. It's a little bit more difficult as it's more isolated on your hamstrings, but again, totally up to you. Just really focusing again on squeezing all your muscles in the lower body, including your gastroc, which is your calves. Again, all we're doing here is creating a lot of potential energy based on muscles that we're activating. And also just a good time for you to get some exercise in before you go back to work or before you go enjoy the last part of your day, depending on where you're at. All right, friends, hopefully you guys all had fun. And hopefully you all can get some walking, get some sun in. I'm going to go ahead and exit myself.